Or, where did the words of deception, which all the powers have failed to discover, come from? Now the first kingdom says of him that he came from a spirit, to heaven. He was nourished in the heavens. He received the glory of that one and the power. He came to the bosom of his mother. And thus he came to the water. And the second kingdom says about him that he came from a great prophet. And a bird came, took the child who was born, and brought him onto a high mountain. And he was nourished by the bird of heaven. An angel came forth there. He said to him, Arise. God has given glory to you. He received glory and strength. And thus he came to the water. The third kingdom says of him that he came from a virgin womb. He was cast out of his city, he and his mother. He was brought to a desert place. He was nourished there. He came and received glory and strength. And thus he came to the water. The fourth kingdom says of him that he came from a virgin. Solomon sought her, he and for Solomon saw El and his armies, which had been sent out. Solomon himself sent his army of demons to seek out the virgin. And they did not find the one whom they sought, but the virgin who was given them. It was she whom they fetched. Solomon took her. The virgin became pregnant and gave birth to the child there. She nourished him on a border of the desert. When he had been nourished, he received glory and power from the seed from which he was begotten. And thus he came to the water. And the fifth kingdom says of him that he came from a drop from heaven. He was thrown into the sea. The abyss received him, gave birth to him, and brought him to heaven. He received glory and power. And thus he came to the water. And the sixth kingdom says that, down to the Aeon reaches below, in order to gather flowers. She became pregnant from the desire of the flowers. She gave birth to him in that place. The angels of the flower garden nourished him. He received glory there, and power. And thus he came to the water. And the seventh kingdom says of him that he is a drop. It came from heaven to earth. Dragons brought him down to caves. He became a child. A spirit came upon him and brought him on high to the place where the drop had come forth. He received glory and power there. And thus he came to the water. And the eighth kingdom says of him that a cloud came upon the earth and enveloped a rock. He came from it. The angels who were above the cloud nourished him. He received glory and power there. And thus he came to the water. And the ninth kingdom says of him that from the 9 muses one separated away. She came to a high mountain and spent some time seated there, so that she desired herself alone in order to become androgynous. She fulfilled her desire and became pregnant from her desire. He was born. The angels who were over the desire nourished him. And he received glory there, and power. And thus he came to the water. The 10th kingdom says of him that his God loved a cloud of desire. He begot him in his hand and cast upon the cloud above him some of the drop, and he was born. He received glory and power there. And thus he came to the water. And the 11th kingdom says that the father desired his own daughter. She herself became pregnant from her father. She cast him out in the desert. The angel nourished him there. And thus he came to the water. The 12th kingdom says of him that he came from 2 illuminators. He was nourished there. He received glory and power. And thus he came to the water. And the 13th kingdom says of him that every birth of their ruler is a word. And this word received a mandate there. He received glory and power. And thus he came to the water, in order that the desire of those powers might be satisfied. But the generation without a king over it says that God chose him from all the eons. He caused a knowledge of the undefiled one of truth to come to be in him. He said, out of a foreign air, from a great eon, the great Illuminator came forth. And he made the generation of those men whom he had chosen for himself shine, so that they could shine upon the whole eon. Then the seed, those who will receive his name upon the water and that of them all, will fight against the power. And a cloud of darkness will come upon them. Then the peoples will cry out with a great voice, saying, Blessed is the soul of those men because they have known God with the knowledge of the truth. They shall live forever, because they have not been corrupted by their desire, along with the angels, nor have they accomplished the works of the powers, but they have stood in his presence in a knowledge of God like light that has come forth from fire and blood. But we have done every deed of the powers senselessly. We have boasted in the transgression of all our works. We have cried against the God of truth because all his works is eternal. These are against our spirits. For now we have known that our souls will die the death. Then a voice came to them, saying, Mitu and Micah and Messinas, who are over the holy baptism and the living water, why were you crying out against the living God with lawless voices and tongues without law over them, and souls full of blood and foul deeds? You are full of works that are not of the truth, but your ways are full of joy and rejoicing. Having defiled the water of life, you have drawn it within the will of the powers to whom you have been given to serve them. And your thought is not like that of those men whom you persecute, desire. Their fruit does not wither. But they will be known up to the great eons, because the words they have kept, of the God of the eons, were not committed to the book, nor were they written. But angelic beings will bring them, whom all the generations of men will not know. For they will be on a high mountain, upon a rock of truth. Therefore they will be named the words of imperishability and truth, for those who know the eternal God and wisdom of knowledge and teaching of angels forever, for he knows all things. These are the revelations which Adam made known to Seth, his son, and his son taught his seed about them. This is the hidden knowledge of Adam, which he gave to Seth, which is the holy baptism of those who know the eternal knowledge through those born of the Word and the imperishable Illuminators, who came from the holy seed Yesius, Nazarius, Yesedchus, the living water,